Hello and welcome to the first episode of Sitting Too Close to the TV, a podcast about nostalgic cartoons and the Saturday morning golden age. I am your host, Scott G. Now, I'm officially going to call this the first episode, but I kind of view it more as like a pilot, because the seed of this idea about covering all of these old cartoons, a lot of nostalgic cartoons for myself, it has been kind of in the making for a while, and I had a lot of questions that I had to answer, just on the production and just concept side of it. Basically is am I going to restrict myself to strictly older nostalgic cartoons, either mostly for myself, the 80s and 90s, Saturday morning and after school specials, again, stuff Transformers and Thundercats and all that other stuff that you kind of think of, other later shows the Powerpuff Girls was I love that show growing up, so I'm definitely going to cover that eventually, but also I may want to cover some newer stuff like the new She-Ra show. That was really good, and eventually I do want to talk about it. So if I limit myself to just the old stuff, then I kind of can't do that. Also, because I'm covering shows that were primarily created for and primarily consumed by young children, should I try to clean up my language a little bit? Just in case maybe a parent is watching with their kids and listening with their kids in the background or whatever. I'm not going to do that just because I just don't feel like that would be genuine. If you've listened to any of my other podcasts, I also run two more with my buddy Phil D. If you get a chance, check those out. We have one that's based strictly on movies. That one's the Man Cinemists Show. There's quite a long catalog of episodes for that one, so give that a shot. It's on the same channels. Should be able to find links in the description. Another one, our video game podcasts, occasionally relevant gaming show, and those are more adult-centric, shows. But again, I just simply want to have a conversation about this stuff. I just, I really want to kind of reach out to the other people that remember this stuff as fondly as I do, So, the answers to pretty much every one of the questions that I tried to pose to myself before actually recording any of this, the answer ended up just being, fuck it, just do what you want, so that's what I'm going to do. Starting off with Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. This was a direct to VHS, direct to video movie. I was looking online, and I don't know how much I trust this, but apparently this was the first direct to video movie, which again, I don't know how much I trust that. I'm sure there were other older maybe in the States, but I know that OVAs were a big thing all through the 80s, and this movie didn't come out until March 11th, 1992. So right at the tail end of the series run. The series itself, I got this in my notes. Let me look at my notes. The series itself ran from 1990 till about, December 1992. So this came out right around the tail end. And I'm sure, the very last of that run was mostly just, being in syndication. But I remember when this movie came out, and like, seeing it in Blockbuster and being like, oh man, yeah, a Tiny Toons movie, man, and they're talking about summer vacation. I'm a kid, I love summer vacation. um so like so I mean, it was very, very like appealing to me at that time. Plus I was like a huge Looney Tunes fan, like growing up. And like, for some reason, like Tiny Toons itself has always just like appealed to me more. I still really love Looney Tunes, but Tiny Toons is just, I don't know, it's just so much better. I love I love specific characters. Babs, Elmira, Dizzy, Dizzy Devils, probably my favorite. I love the interactions that Elmira has with the cat in the series, Furball. There's a scene in the movie where she's trying to teach him to swim, and Furball's got like little, flippers and a little like eye goggle mask on, and she just keeps dunking him into a into a little kids pool, and like just holding him down. And at some point he's just down at the bottom, and she says like, what does she say? Oh, you're never gonna learn to swim if you just stay at the bottom, and like pulls him out by the tail. And he and Furball produces scissors and tries to cut his tail off to get away from her. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, she just tortures every living thing, but dude, come on, don't maim yourself just to get away from this girl. Yeah. Anyways, love that. So one thing that I'm not a huge fan of with this movie is the Plucky and Hampton plot line. Not that it's bad. This movie is essentially just like three different episodes smashed together into a like what at least at that time would be feature length running time. It has a runtime of an hour and 19 minutes, so not super long, but I guess feature length for that time. But the Hampton and Plucky plot is pretty much Hampton's family is going on a vacation to this place, Happy World Land, which is like kind of a mix between, I wouldn't even say it's really a Disney analog. It's honestly more of a Six Flags analog, if that makes sense, which actually would make a lot more sense because Warner Brothers has stronger ties to the Six Flags mentality. Like, Bugs Bunny is in all of their advertisements. So, like, I mean, for it to be a Six Flags analog just kind of makes sense to me, especially because, I live in Alabama, and Six Flags Over Georgia, that was our vacation spot. So when I was a kid, I definitely related to this plot line a little bit better, because I remember being that, more in line with Plucky rather than Hampton, because Hampton's having the time of his life, just hanging out, being with his family. What a sweet kid. But Plucky is just bouncing off the walls, and everything irritates him, and nothing throughout this entire trip goes right for him. And that's kind of the joke. And it's kind of one note, essentially. And I guess it's just not as interesting to me as it used to be. Again, not to say that there aren't some good parts. I really like Hampton's dad. I love the fact that like he just has some of the best dad jokes throughout the entire movie. He's freaking hilarious. Like, he's at some point, like, he's constantly singing "Pop Goes the Weasel," and at some point, Plucky asks him, what did hey dad, do you know any other songs, like Old MacDonald? And of course dad, pop goes the weasel, like, and like that kind of shit kills me. So like that's really good in it. But overall, the Hampton and Plucky part just really doesn't like do anything for me. The plot line that I do really like is the Babs and Buster part. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact of how much I really like Babs Bunny. Like, especially in this movie, she just gets shit the whole time, but, she she more than even Buster, like keeps her shit together throughout the tough situations, and like comes up with the plans, and like gets herself out of most of the problems, and ends up saving Buster, a couple of times to get them out of their situation. So basically their thing is like, it starts out with Buster just fucking with Babs, like, getting her wet. Yeah, writers, I see what you did there. Um, but like, no, just squirting her with like water guns and like pouring buckets of water on her like the whole time. Like it's it's great because it culminates in, of course Babs wants to get back at Buster, so she like breaks the Atme Acres Dam, literally flooding the entire town. And like, and it's great because she comes out of the water and it's just, maybe I went too far, but Buster will definitely get wet, you know. Of course, Buster comes up on a jet ski, and like somehow this is a rocket jet ski that like has like jets in the back so it can fly, uh, which is rad as shit. But yeah, that's kind of that's kind of out of nowhere. But so Buster goes and finds an active volcano, drops a stick, it drops a not even a stick, it's like a big tub of dynamite into the volcano, which makes the volcano jump, splash into the ocean, and this giant tsunami wave comes and then crushes Atme Acres. So, like, Atme Acres has experienced, natural disaster to the point to where it is just, it's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's not actually gone, but at least at this time, it's gone. so, so Babs and Buster end up getting stranded on this like wooden table floating down a river. Okay. Uh, First they meet up with some possums, then they, like meet up with some alligators, and then a big frog man. And all of these people want to eat them. So that's kind of their journey. Everybody wants to eat them. And like I said, man, like especially with the possums, like Babs gets herself out of that situation. Buster is pretty much just goofing off the whole time. Um like it's great. I love it. Babs is my girl. Love her to death. Um good strong plot line. The like romantic tension between Buster and Babs kind of comes to a fever pitch at this junction. I do remember them kind of alluding to at the very least them having like kind of innocent, childlike crushes on each other, but this is very like it feels very sexually charged in the movie. Not so much to where it's like absolutely blatant, but there are a couple of times where Babs like just, she's also very forward in her like attraction to Buster, which is also like one of the reasons why I'm like into her character, really. Like that, being forward sexually is something that I'm like really into. So I mean, like, but anyways, like I said, it's not like blatant. It's just kind of like, she'll like make a suggestive comment that would go over the heads of most kids, and then like, you know lean Buster back and almost kiss him, and then all of a sudden they fall down a waterfall. You know what? You know the drill. You've seen this movie. I don't have to explain that, but I do think it was again, it was something that was really interesting to me to see, because again, I know that a lot of this same stuff was suggested in the show, but it just seems a lot more blatant in the movie. Good note to go out on. Unfortunately, moving on from that, was there anything else about the Buster and Babs plotline that I really liked? It's like, not really. I mean, the Possum Kid that plays the banjo, he's really great. It would have been awesome if the show had continued after this movie, because it seems like the Possum Kid would be going to, the Looney Tunes. What is it? Like Acme Academy or whatever, the school that they go to. So it would have been nice to see, this very rustic banjo playing like hillbilly possum, interact with the rest of the cast. That would have been really cool. I really like at the end of it, because he doesn't really talk through the whole thing. And of course, like, Buster and Babs kind of call him out, and it's like, you guys were going to eat us. And he was just like, oh, I couldn't eat you. I couldn't never eat nobody that played his mouth. Like, that cracks me up. And it's like, oh boy, I'm going to get me some education. Like, look, man, I live in the South. I know people that actually talk like this, and it's so, I don't know. It's like, culturally for me, it's just fucking hilarious, and I love over exaggerated Southern accents. That's one of my favorite things of all time to do, and and listen to people do. I mean, other storylines, like I said, it's like 3 or 4 different like episodes of the series smashed together. I do really enjoy the Elmira her little arc, cuz of course Furball runs away at the beginning of the movie, and she goes to, I don't know what it is. It says wildlife preserve, but they're in the US, and I'm like, where? I mean, I know there are wildlife preserves, but not like this, like, this is like a zoo with no cages, so the animals just kind of run free, like, carnivores and herbivores all in the same place, just doing whatever. And oh, hey, there's a car path in the middle that people drive down. So, she's there. Furball runs away. She's complaining about not having a kitty, like she do. And so, like, she gets out of the car, and I really like the announcer, because there's a guy on a PA talking about, like, hey, by the way, welcome to the wildlife preserve. Just so Warner Brothers doesn't get sued, just in case somebody actually does this, do not get out of your car. Animals are dangerous. So, anyways, Elmira gets out of the car, and she starts messing with this cheetah. I promise you, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but like, this is just really great. Starts messing with this cheetah, grabs him by the tail, and he like tries to run away so hard that he literally skins himself. So she goes around the rest of the time wearing a cheetah skin, like a legitimate cheetah skin. This is horrifying. This would be horrifying if it was real, but terrorizes a couple other animals. Like, I really like, at one point she has this kind of like classroom set up where she's got a bunch of different animals tied up. Like, she's got a zebra and an alligator and an antelope and like a couple of like lion cubs just tied up, and he's reading this story about, like, hey, there are many different animals in the jungle. Some are carnivores, like the lion who eats zebra, and the little like lion cubs look over at the zebra, and it's just like, yeah, we do eat zebras, it's like, and start like kind of preparing him to be eaten. That shit kills me. Really, really love the Elmira part. That one kills me, and it's good because it doesn't really take up a lot of time in the movie. It is it's disconnected. It just kind of like, all of this stuff is very loosely connected. Like thin strings of logic connecting each of the different subplots. It's kind of just like, hey, here's a bunch of different stories happening all at the same time. So, Dizzy Devil doesn't really have, which really kind of sucks because he is legitimately one of my favorite characters from the show. But he doesn't really have much to do in this. There's like so in the summer Dizzy sheds, so he can't spin, and he's all sad. And Shirley the Loon, like says, "Look, Dizzy, you just need to spin for the happiness that it brings you. Don't deny yourself what you truly want." And like, so he's just like, "Hey, that's right, I can do this." So he spins, and he's just naked, and he ends up wearing a box for the rest of the episode. But that's really it. That's all he gets to do. He spins, and then he's naked, and then Shirley the Loon is just outed as a bitch. So yeah, Shirley, you deserve everything else that happens to you throughout the rest of this movie. Yeah, you're a jerk. Quit laughing at Dizzy, man. He just wants to spin and be happy without, showing his junk. That's all he wants. Can't a Tasmanian devil just spin without having to be embarrassed about it? Anyways, that's my rant. Back on topic. Um Overall, the movie's really good. I know the series is really good. I know, like I said before, I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan, but I do actually prefer, Tiny Toons over Looney Tunes. I don't know. There's maybe just more of a cultural relevance to me since I grew up in the time that those jokes nowadays would seem pretty dated, but to me, someone who grew up in that area, I get those jokes. I get them. I get them now better than I did when I was a kid. So like, I guess that's why I liked it. Guys, I'd love to list all of the directors, but there are just so many of them. All of them obviously worked on the show as well and various other shows. It's on Wikipedia. You guys can look that up. So, anyways, a couple little fun facts to round this episode out. So the movie Tiny Toon Adventures, how I spent my summer vacation, how I spent my vacation. I've probably been calling it how I spent my summer vacation this whole episode. Oh well, I'm not gonna edit it out. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So the movie stayed in the top 40 on Billboard magazine's top video sales for 16 weeks in 1992. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. I don't know specifically which slot it was, but we can at least assume that it was probably number 40. And one of the animation studios, which is really interesting to me, because I'm a huge anime fan as well, like actually did a lot of the animation work for the movie and the series, is Tokyo Movie Shinsha. I hope I'm saying that right. It's also known as TMS Entertainment. Did most of the animation for the film. Other things that you might know about this are shows that this studio also did. Blah blah blah. Sorry guys, still trying to untie my tongue here, But other shows that this studio did that you may have heard of: the Lupin the Third series, Detective Conan, Gogol 13. They did some in between work on Akira. They also did a lot of in between work and just outright most of the animation for Inspector Gadget, The Real Ghostbusters, the Batman and Spider-Man animated series, Rainbow Bright, DuckTales, Animaniacs, and I mean, of course, a lot more than I can list in this show. So, pretty prolific studio. I'm definitely going to be covering some of those shows in later episodes. So, again, keep coming back. That was my fun facts. And I guess that's going to wrap up this episode. Again, thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, I sincerely appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Check out the other 2 podcasts that I do with my buddy Philip every week. We have a movie podcast, the Man Cinemists Show, and our video game podcast, the Occasionally Relevant Gaming Show, all on the Laser Punch channel, also available on Anchor and Spotify. So check those out. Leave comments, review. I read all of the comments that I get, so please feel free to write whatever the fuck you want. And again, I hope you will join me next time for the next episode of Sitting Too Close to the TV. I'm going to be covering the Transformers series, at least a handful of hand-picked episodes. I'm definitely not going to cover the entire series plus the movie, but I'm going to pick a couple of episodes that I really enjoy, and I'll compile all that information, and then I'll record another episode of this. Now, I don't want to guarantee that these episodes are going to be coming out weekly just yet. Again, I'm still in the pilot stage and the figuring out what the hell I want to do with everything stage. So, but I did want to at least get an episode out and stake my claim. So, again, they'll come out when they come out, and I hope you will be listening to the next one and coming with me on this journey. And now I've rambled enough to where this outro is starting to sound awkward, so I'll just end it here. Bye, guys. Have a great day.